G'day everyone, I'm the man called Kemosabe, the man with the plan from the land down under, and I saw this article and come up with a theory, or finalised a theory. I don't know if it's a good theory, or even a sound theory, but I thought I'd share it with you real quick. So first up, we're following the adventures of Clea as the next Sorcerer Supreme in Strange, a new comic series from two guys I've never even heard of. So Doctor Strange is dead. He dies in a comic called The Death of Doctor Strange that wasn't even out yet at the time of the writing of this article. It's a weird choice from a bunch of different angles, but primarily the fact that he's only right at this very minute in the second highest opening grossing movie of all time. People go to watch Spider-Man and Doctor Strange muck about with some time stream and alternate universes, free of wokery, people are reporting, I don't know, I haven't seen it. And these moviegoers decide they want more of this sort of stuff, psychedelic, universe-jumping Doctor Who crossed with spandex. They go to the comic book store and the guy behind the counter tells them Doctor Strange is dead, but they can buy a comic of his girlfriend wearing his old clothes. Why kill off a character that is being featured in something of a cultural phenomenon, a very profitable cultural phenomenon? I've never understood this kind of decision. We've seen it time and again, especially from Marvel. When the first Avengers movie hit it big, people were going to the local comic book store for the adventures of Cap and company, only to find all the characters they'd fallen in love with on the screen, except Black Widow because she's a woman, Natch, had been killed off or turned evil and replaced by inferior versions. And that's an important point. In the comics, Rhodey becomes his own hero, and Nightwing says he doesn't really want the cow when Bruce dies. But these names and titles aren't stations that can be passed on to other people as needed. Not permanently, anyway. Elektra was only recently running around Hell's Kitchen in all red and horns calling herself Daredevil, but everyone knew Daredevil was in jail at the time. Everyone knew she wasn't Daredevil, not just because she's got tig old biddies, but because they could literally see Daredevil in his cell in the Max Security Wing wearing his Daredevil mask. Wearing a hero's outfit doesn't necessarily make you that hero. There's an argument that Rhodey was Iron Man when he wore the armour, and if Dick does take over when Bruce falls, he would then be Batman, but there is a sense of legacy, of right, to inherit these mantles. Instead, the kids or kid-like adults at the local comic store are faced with Riri Williams instead of Tony Stark, a female Thor, an Asian teen Hulk. I think Cap had been depowered and rapidly aged without the super soldier serum keeping him vital and young, and Sam had taken over. None of these characters looked like or even were the right person, and I mean that deliberately. Tony Stark is Iron Man. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Some Asian kid can claim to be the Hulk and he can be big and green and strong, but he ain't the dark side of Bruce Banner. He's not that brooding monster that even gods fear. These are enduring characters, and their too young and often gender-swapped counterparts don't cut it. The irony being, among other agendas, these usually young, usually female wannabes were designed, as far as I can tell, to appeal to the new and growing female audiences, who at the time were only really starting to get into the MCU, and by extension the comics that inspired it. But the majority didn't want self-insert characters. They wanted Steve Rogers and Thor Odinson and Clint Barton and Tony Stark. They wanted those heroes, not their costumes and names draped on their estranged pseudo-children. I think the same thing happened right around the time a big movie starring Wolverine was released. They'd killed off Logan and replaced him with Laura, a character whose whole arc was about not just being a clone of Wolverine, about being her own person. And then they gave her his costume and name. Now the title of Sorcerer Supreme is one that is passed on to the most worthy bearer. It's like being a Green Lantern. You have that title, you fight, you die, hopefully heroically, then the title and its responsibilities and perks pass on to the person deemed next most worthy. It's not out of place for someone to replace Strange if he dies, and there are a few contenders, Dr. Doom, Brother Voodoo, Clea of course, she's partner. She's his partner. Can't have a woman in a subservient or mentee role to a straight white male, right, Feige? You might end up with an ending that actually makes sense. The thing is, this isn't even the first time Doctor Strange has been killed off and replaced. Brother Voodoo took on the role of Doctor Strange in the 90s, but he didn't then turn around and call himself Doctor Strange. So why the heck is a comic about Clea taking over from Doctor Strange as the Sorcerer Supreme, you mean Sorcerer Supreme, right, bigot? Called Strange? Why isn't it called Clea or Sorcerer Supreme? Why does a female character have to use the identity of a man she is taking over from? Why isn't she enough to succeed on her own? Well, you know why. So you see the problem. Not sure that Clea will succeed on her own, because let's be honest, who the hell knows who Clea is. Marvel had to kill off Doctor Strange so she could usurp his mantle to leech his success and make it her own. A really common trope these days. They even set up a 5-part story called The Death of Doctor Strange. I read it. It was a nothing event. One of those stories that has no impact, no lasting effect on the canon. It was purely a vehicle to get Stephen out of the way. The name of the miniseries tells you what's going to happen by the end. They always plan to kill him off and replace him with the Y-chromosome-less version in a new #1 with a dozen variant covers. Classic Marvel. But they decide to do this right as Strange himself is reaching total global saturation. So why not postpone the storyline for 6 months and ride some of that MCU money all the way to their probably quite anemic bank? Why sabotage themselves like this, and why do they keep doing it over and over again? When Civil War was in the cinema, Marvel rushed out the Civil War 2 event, one of the worst events of all time. just so there was some hero fighting hero synergy with the movie. It failed hard, but the effort was there. They know they can make money this way. But Civil War II was about Carol Danvers, another identity usurper. It wasn't enough for her to be Ms. Marvel or Warbird or Binary or Rogue's Bitch. She needed to take Marvel's title. All these other comic star men, usually straight white men. I mean, the Avengers are almost all straight and white, or as Gail Simone calls them, pale, stale and male. Let's read this blurb, then I'll tell you my theory and you can tell me how off the mark I am in the comments. Haunted by her recently returned memories, Clea longs to bring Stephen Strange back from the dead. But when a mysterious group attacks the magical realm, Clea, now the sole protector of Earth against magical threats. So is there no Doctor Doom? Is there no Brother Voodoo? Is there no Ileana Rasputin? Is there no Scarlet Witch? I don't know. Must rise to the duties of Sorcerer Supreme. Okay, cool. Clea is a Sorcerer Supreme. Alex Ross did it first. It makes sense. She was always sort of next in line. But why does she have to be Doctor Strange? Don't miss the shocking twists, new villains, and unbelievable magical feats as Clea takes Marvel magic to places it's never gone before. Yes, they've always got to do it better, don't they? Here's what McKay had to say about continuing this unprecedented Doctor Strange saga. Alex Ross already did this story. After the apocalyptic events of the death of Doctor Strange, there's a new Sorcerer Supreme in residence at 177A Bleecker Street, and a new Doctor Strange, Clea Strange. Okay, so Doctor Strange, he was an actual doctor, he was a surgeon. You've seen Benedict Cumberbatch to do the thing. That's why he's a doctor. He's a doctor of medicine, not a doctor of magic. He's Doctor Strange because his surname is Strange. It makes zero sense for Clea to be called Doctor Strange. She's not a doctor, but it seems like she's submitted to the patriarchy and married Stephen and took his name. I wonder when that happened. I wonder if that only happened recently so they had a reason to call her Strange. This is a clear case of a female character usurping a more powerful, established and successful male character to do so. They've been doing it non-stop for a while. There's a great 4chan post out there somewhere explaining why calling Jane Foster Thor didn't make sense even when Eric Masterson and Donald Blake used that name. It makes even less sense to call Clea Doctor Strange. She could be Clea, Sorcerer Supreme. Sorcerer is even the kind of word that's bordering on non-gendered language. You don't even have to call her Sorceress Supreme if you don't want to. But here we have them red-handed, their agenda bared for all to see. It didn't make sense when Elektra called herself Daredevil, and it doesn't make sense now. They doubled down on this in the last paragraph. It's been really exciting to open up a new chapter in the world of Dr. Clea Strange, to get some new adventures going, and some new Wheaties on the table. I can't wait for folks to come. It shouldn't be folks with an X bigot. I can't wait for folks to come along with us. They always sound so disingenuous when they say folks. And y'all. So you see there, Dr. Clea Strange. They literally have to insert Clea in brackets in the middle of the name Doctor Strange, because even they know she isn't Doctor Strange. It's the same thing they do with Miles Morales when they say Miles Morales Spider-Man. Carrying the shield doesn't make you Captain America, and raiding Stephen's wardrobe doesn't make you Doctor Strange. It's weird that she's even wearing his clothes. I can understand her wielding some of the weapons and the artifacts Strange uses, his cape, but why is she literally wearing the rest of his outfit, the same gloves, everything? These aren't necessarily part of the station of being the Sorcerer Supreme. Despite what the movie depicted, she's wearing them because she isn't bankable on her own merits, visually or character-wise. She needs to steal from a superior, better established and more popular character to get even a fraction of his success. And the worst thing is we know this is all temporary. It won't last. It'll be a 6-month to a year-long run before they return to the status quo. And you know how I know? Because you won't find Clea colouring books or lunchboxes in the supermarket. You won't find Clea action figures on the stand. It'll be Doctor Strange, Dr. Stephen Strange, the real Sorcerer Supreme and Protector of Earth, plastered on all that kitschy merchandise. There's this weird thing that SJW writers do when they act like names and mantles that can be passed around. I theorise it's about self-inserting as that character, about stealing that character's accomplishments and legitimacy. They do the same thing with minority identity groups. Identify as that and then try to steal the clout and the legitimacy and the grievances of those groups to bolster up their own position. These SJW writers are narcissists that haven't anchored their identities in anything significant. When your politics or your pronouns or your sexuality is your whole identity, you are easily hurt when that aspect of you is challenged. When those things are challenged, you feel personally challenged because that's all you are, that's how you think of yourself. When you don't identify as a husband or a father or a wife or something significant, this kind of transference is easy to fall into. This is how they think and act. We've seen countless examples of them shoehorning themselves into stories. It's a classic SJWism. Stephen King did it, Eric Larson did it, Heather Antos, Mags Versaggio and Gabby Rivera did it. So here's my theory. They intentionally do this. They intentionally plan to kill off, pale, male and stale, established characters and replace them with non-binary BIPOC 2S LGBTQIA plus self-inserts, hoping to trap the casual moviegoer. They are hoping the normie, fresh from No Way Home, will go to the local comic book store, ask for Doctor Strange comics, get handed a copy of Dr. Clea Strange, buy it, and because she's don't need no man slay queen, anyone that's not a hateful, bigoted, MAGA hat-wearing, alt-right Nazi Trumper spouting unsolicited opinions on Israel will like this character even more than the original. Because how could you not? She's not a straight white male after all. So stick around and buy issue 2 and beyond. They don't want you buying the adventures of Stephen Strange, they want you buying the adventures of their token self-insert instead. For Bendis, it's so he gets the financial kickbacks from his OC donut steals. Who needs Riri Williams when Rhodey has a niece? Bendis can't get paid from Rhodey having a niece. But there's other stuff for the SJWs about taking heels in the culture war, getting their queer race-swapped versions of characters in canon just to say they did. But if this writer, Jed MacKay, isn't just pushing Lady Strange to stay working, if he really believes what he was quoted as saying about this book, he's ignoring history, he's ignoring established canon, common sense, and what actually sells titles, all for the chance to strike a blow in the culture war. Until the writers at the big two are able to write without agenda, without subversive intent, without plans to own the chuds, things won't get better. No Way Home has toppled previous box office records. It destroys the narrative that COVID and other factors were why woke movies failed. None of the obstacles used to buoy up 2016 Ghostbusters or Eternals or Black Widow came into effect here. The money was there, people wanted to see the movie. Marvel could turn this industry around in 6 months if they wanted to, but they don't want to. And the fact that they don't want to tells you everything you need to know about the current and future direction of mainstream comics. Plan your spending and support accordingly. I know I am.